Howdy, I'm Great Pilgrim again. Camera seems to be turning itself off and on. It's probably a ghost. Anyway, I was watching a thing on YouTube, a fellow called Tinker Talks Guns. And Tinker is a gunsmith who seems to know what he's talking about. And he was talking about this. This is a 1935A French long pistol. Now, what's the French long? To give you an example, can you see this? This is a 32 auto. That's a French long. It's based on the 30 Peterson cartridge used in World War I. Well, going back to World War I, in World War I, the French were using the Lebel rifle, the Berthier, the Chauchat submachine gun, but all they had for pistols were an older revolver. And they needed a whole lot of pistols for the people that were out in the trenches. So what they did is they contracted with Spain for these. This is a Ruby. It's a 32 auto. Shoots this little guy here. Not that one. And it worked okay, I guess, for World War I. But at the end of the war, they decided, not good enough. We need to come up with a new pistol of some kind for our troops. And they'd been researching this 30 carbine or 30 caliber bullet, much faster than a 32 auto, not quite 9mm parabellum in scope, but they figured good enough. And they developed a whole range. They developed a pistol around it. They put out a contract to all their various armories and a few of the commercial arms factories in France at the time. And they said, submit your bid for what you think would be a good pistol. And after looking at all of them, they went to a group called SACM, which is a French army or ordnance concern, and came up with this design, which is built by a fellow named Charles Petter. And Petter was an absolute genius. Now watch Tinker if you want a full breakdown on how to field strip this and all of that good stuff. He does a very, very reasonable and informative video on the subject. But what I found interesting was they went to this in 1935, and they were plodding along, making them as they go. And at the time, the Germans were rearming and becoming something of a nuisance and were about to attack France. And France looked around and thought, holy cow, we don't have enough pistols. So they turned to the runner-up to this and had them make pistols. And that was St Etienne Arsenal. And they came up with this. This is a 1935S. This is their particular take on it. This is, I think, a Model D or something. No, wait a minute. No, this one is an original. The Model D, well, notice the safety on an A. It goes straight up like this. Well, the Model D did not. It just went to right there. They then went to a second iteration of these where they redesigned it so that this safety went straight up like this one did. They wanted to have this as interchangeable as possible with this one. Both are chambered in this cartridge. That went along okay for a while. And then they decided to change over to 32 auto again, just like the old tried and true Ruby. And they came up with the Mob. This is a 1936, I think, Mob, which was mainly used as a gendarme pistol. Matter of fact, this one is marked as a gendarme pistol. It's a beautiful thing, and it works pretty well. This is it's a direct ripoff of the Browning system. This Petter is a sort of a ripoff of the high power system. And it's interesting to note that Petter then went on and worked for the Swiss for a while, and he was the engineer who designed the SIG P210. And this, if you look closely at it, this is a SIG P210 scaled down. It's a beautiful, beautiful weapon. Shoots well. Unfortunately, these rounds are bear to come by. In the old days, I used to make them. I took 32 H&R Magnum, which was a longer 32 auto, and I would trim them down. It's a rimmed cartridge, and I would trim the rim down to that size, then cut a extractor groove in it. You do that on a lathe, and you do that to each and every piece of brass. Some of them you screwed up, so you do start out with a bag of 50 or so, and you end up with about 20 or 30 sort of works cartridges. Well, then a company called Starline actually geared up to make this particular piece of brass, and a company named Steinells started a run of these. Well, they're out of stock now. Thing turned off again. Anyway, my point is that Tinker's video on this is wonderful. I love it. It's well done. It's a good video, and I recommend watching it. But he doesn't go into this because I guess he doesn't have one. Well, I happen to have one. I also have reloading dies for it, and for this, and the more important, the rare reloading shell holder. Hard to find. This is just 32 auto, and it works fine in it. And I've got a box of Cellar and Bellow right here of that, just to show off this particular design. But this, you can shoot like a 90 grain or 100 grain bullet out of it, and it's much faster than a 32 auto. I think they made a submachine gun. Well, actually, I know they made a submachine gun in this round. Ian McCollum over at Forgotten Weapons bought himself that machine gun and then had Mark Novak, I think, rework it for him to make it work right. And it's a beautiful little thing. Incidentally, a bit of trivia: that machine gun was used to assassinate Mussolini in France. Don't know where the French underground got a hold of one, but they got a hold of one, and that was what they gunned him down with. So, just trivia. I think they used them also in the French Foreign Legion over in Dien Bien Phu. But it's sort of fallen out of favor, that the round and that particular machine gun and these pistols. But these pistols are just wonderful pieces of firearms history, I think. And they're just well engineered. This one, I think, is a superior pistol. I agree with the committee that decided on the A design. The S is no slouch. I mean, it works fine too. It's just a little clunkier, a little less aesthetic than this thing. And when they went to this, as you can see, it's visually very similar to the mob is to the 1935A. This S looks more like a ruby, I think. Anyway, French pistols. It's an interest of mine, and it's not one that folks around today are that interested in, because the French are considered not so good at war. Well, they did okay. They won in World War I. They did a good showing of themselves in Algeria and in Indochina for quite a while, holding on to their colonies. But I think they're pretty good. The French Foreign Legion is still one of the greatest fighting forces on earth. Anyway, that's about all I got to say. Happy trails.